Alrighty everyone, so we actually got a pretty interesting video today. It's a game theory. You guys seem to like the last one that we did on the Warden, so I decided to come back. And this time, it is for a very special guest, Ranboo, because, you know, Ranboo has his whole Generation Loss thing, so that's exactly what this is about. I will say, I am slightly curious on how they're already making a theory on this, considering we only have a like 30-ish second or somewhere around there video on Generation Loss's like channel, so I don't know what they're doing with this, but I guess that's what the point of this video is. We're gonna find out. Wait though, before we get into today's video, if you guys have not subscribed already, go on down and do that before we start today's video. Also, Whiteboard Crew, you want to be a part of it? Just tell me in the comments and I'll get you up there. We literally just filled out like pretty much a complete third row of this board, so yeah, I guess if you want to be a part of the fourth row, tell me and I'll get you up there. Anyway, though, let's get right to Game Theory's new theory video. Well, let's get right to the actual video. Alrighty. Do the research, find the theory. Almost like a game theory, some would say.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory, the only show that can make a 15-minute video from 28 seconds of content.
Ah, so it is exactly how I thought. Okay.
I predict it's gonna be more, let's see, 18 and a half minutes? Best guess. And you know what? That's not an exaggeration either. Today's topic has only 28 seconds of content currently available as I write this. That's gotta be a new record for us, right? Theory on the least information possible. But remember, quality over quantity, and you can do a lot in 28 seconds, which is exactly what we're about to find out. But first, a bit of backstory. As you're all well aware of by now, there have been a lot of content creators, both big and small, that have been inspired to make their own ARGs over the years. And recently, a new challenger appeared. Someone that you may be familiar with. Let me give you a hint. He's a Minecrafter. He's one of the massive creators from the Dream SMP. He wears glasses, and he's rocking an iconic Gen Z haircut. I'm talking, of course, about... No, Wilbur, no! Bad Wilbur, no! It's not about you.
Wilbur, you are not a part of this. You are not a part of this. Bro, I'm gonna try not to sneeze, but my allergies are killing me during this recording.
And your weird acoustic guitar songs. Get out of here! No, today's theory is about Ranboo.
Yes. Or Ranboo, either
that one up, and his new series, Generation Loss. Now, seeing Ranboo take on an ARG shouldn't be that big of a surprise to anyone familiar with his work over on the Dream SMP. Once he joined the server, he quickly became a fan favorite thanks to his clever backstory involving memory loss, memory journals, and his immediately iconic Ender Walks, where his Enderman half
the Ender Walk saga.
Temporarily. He even launched an entire ARG focusing around Ender Walking back in early 2021. Looking back on it, you guys actually hit me up a fair bit on Twitter to cover it. Follow me at MattPatGT, by the way, if you want to do that.
Nice plug for yourself.
Stuff you send because, well, you have great ideas. But in this case, we didn't wind up doing it because why didn't I end up doing it? What was I doing back then? I mean, I know we were busy because we were starting St. Jude planning, but what was it? I was apparently busy talking about the KFC console GameStop.
Oh my God, not the KFC
Logan
console.
Paul. So instead of covering a Minecraft ARG coming out of the most popular thing in gaming at the time, I covered the stock market and YouTuber boxing.
Not a great plan.
Yeah,
not a great plan at all.
But hey, at least the
probably
KFC
missed out on a lot of
stream.
potential
Needless to say,
views.
Ranboo is well versed in cryptic storytelling and ARGs. And unlike our coverage of the Wilbur Soot ARG, we're not 3 years late this time.
Only a month late.
Right now, there's only one video available, released about a month ago. For once, we are on the cutting edge. So strap in, theorists, because we're about to go down a rabbit hole of government conspiracy, media control, and manipulation of the mind. All in 28 seconds.
Never once did I think I'd be watching a 17-minute video out of 28 seconds of content.
Again, this is not a test. New theoryware is available now.
No.
Conspiracy collection.
No.
Let people know with
No.
Ranboo all the way back in July of 2021 with two potential names. As he said on his Discord, quote, currently thinking about two titles, Generation Loss or The Lost Field Incident #1. Obviously, he went with the first option, but remember the second one. That's gonna come up later. Now, why would the title be important? What exactly is meant by Generation Loss? Well, basically, Generation Loss is the loss of quality that happens each time something gets copied. Think about it like making Xerox
Ooh, that's
copies
creepy. I don't like that.
The first one is pretty clear, but if you make a copy of the copy, copy, the quality devolves. If you continue to make more and more copies, more and more details get lost and things start to degrade. And this seems to be the
I don't
exact
like that,
definition
actually.
Ranboo intended. As he clarified again on his Discord, quote, basically, you know how VHS tapes never record the original footage super correctly? There are always slight impurities in each recording and copy. What generation loss is when each imperfection is exaggerated with each new copy until you get some really cool distortion effects. End quote.
That's
For a great
okay.
example,
That's
here's a
cool.
Nesquik
That is
commercial
cool
in its
though.
first generation copy, and here it is 9 generations later. Nothing changed. It was just a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Ooh, that
But you
gave me
see how
chills.
information gets lost and distorted over time.
I don't like
Also,
that.
it was today o'clock when
Oh,
I
God.
realized that I am truly the granddad
green
of YouTube.
screen,
I
what
bet
has
so
it
many of
done?
you are only familiar with VHS tape effects in
clear.
YouTube videos or indie horror games at this point. Man, I'm old. Anyway, based on the name alone, we know that this series is going to focus on the idea of degradation of information over time. The more something is copied and passed on, the more distorted and messed up it gets. Gotta say, we're already off to an intriguing start, and we haven't even watched the video yet, which means it's probably time to do just that. As the video begins, we see an old CRT TV displaying static until words begin to flash. Don't hide, don't escape, don't talk, don't conform, don't hesitate. We then get 5 censored images that flash past the screen multiple times in rapid succession before devolving back into static with the final lines, learn the history, find the founder. The word kill flashes up briefly over the word find to give us the alternate text of kill the founder. It's short, but it's dense, which is exactly the way to kick off something like this. So let's figure out what's going on, starting with the 5 mysterious images. In the second image, we can see a large room with the generation loss symbol in red on the back wall. A number of people with blacked out faces sit at desks around the room, and one person has a red square blocking their face. The fact that both the square and the symbol are in red when everything else we see is in black and white is telling us that there's a connection between these two things. It seems to suggest that the person with their face covered in red is working for whatever generation loss is, in which case I needed to see who is behind that big red block. So I started reverse image searching and found that this is a photo from the University of Leipzig in Germany. More specifically, it's the very first dedicated psychology lab founded in 1879 by the father of experimental psychology, Wilhelm Wundt. I have to admit, I wasn't able to figure out who exactly the man with his face blocked out in red was, but that's not really surprising. It's a university lab. Wundt would have had many students come and go through the years. Some of his students did go on to become psychologists in their own right, but I couldn't trace any of them back to the specific image. The good news is, though, I'm not exactly sure it matters who the person is. It's actually about the fact that this person is studying under Wilhelm Wundt in the first place. One of Wundt's big studies was on the idea of generation effects on memory. Something tells me we might be on the right track. Generation effects are, quote, the advantage in memory for information that's produced, i.e. generated, by the participant as opposed to another person. Basically, the idea that if you form your own idea or memory, you're more likely to remember it accurately as opposed to a memory made by someone else and then told to you.
That would be
pretty darn nicely with
that
the
is
theme
how
of the
that
series,
works.
Generation loss, the distortion of memory across time. It also begins to connect the dots when it comes to the text at the end of the video. Learn the history. Maybe people are forgetting the real history of this world, instead only remembering what they've been told, a distorted version of the truth. Generation over generation, history is being forgotten, therefore generation loss. That may seem like I'm clutching at...
You know, that would be pretty true because nowadays people can't even remember the name of some past presidents. They know famous TikTokers, but they don't know U.S. history
for an answer,
or
but the
history at all.
picture ties into the narrative
So
too.
I could
It's a
see
picture
it.
of a classroom from the 1940s with the generation loss symbol on the chalkboard and the teacher's face blocked out in red, similar to the last image. I reverse image searched again, and it led me to Getty Images. And Getty wasn't
thank you,
giving me
Getty
a whole lot of
Images.
information about this photo other than it's a London classroom from 1947. So I kept digging around for uses of the image. Not a whole lot. I actually struggled to find this image anywhere across the internet except for one article from a liberal news site in the United Kingdom called The Independent. But what's more important is the subject of the article. Parents complaining about a new curriculum being implemented into UK schools. One specifically focused on rote memorization of facts rather than critical thinking and problem solving. To quote from the article, the new methodology was going to focus on memorizing, quote, endless lists of spelling facts and rules, which will not develop children's ability to think, including problem solving, critical understanding, and creativity. In short, the problem with this new proposed curriculum was that people were being told what they should learn, what they should remember, and not thinking for themselves. The idea that memory is being dictated by someone else, an external force. So again, Again, just like with the previous photo, we see the recurring theme of memory and control, how memories get inserted into our heads and how they stick there. And this may be me interpreting the picture a bit too literally, but in the edited version of the photo, the chalkboard has the Generation Loss symbol on it. They're teaching the children about this regime, whatever this altered history and facts are. These kids are being raised to believe that truth, not develop critical thinking for themselves to find the facts on their own. The Independent isn't the only newspaper
that's a little
that seems to have
wrong
importance in this mystery either. The second one comes from this image, an old painting with the face once again censored by a red square. This was a painting of Richard Potter, a British businessman turned politician and writer for one of Britain's biggest newspapers, The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper was actually born out of a desire to push the liberal ideas of a group called the Little Circle, a group with good old Richard Potter as a founding member. This group's main objective was to get fair representation in government, which at the time was controlled by an elite few due to corruption in the English Parliament. In fact, government corruption was such a big issue in this era that on August 16, 1819, a crowd gathered in St. Peter's Field in Manchester, England to protest for parliamentary reform. To stop the protesters, the Royal Cavalry charged into the crowd and ultimately killed 15 people. This horrible event would come to be known as the Peterloo Massacre. Making matters worse, after this event, the government passed the 6 Acts, a move that was aimed at suppressing any meeting about radical reform. Now, why would any of this matter? Well, the place where that massacre happened, St. Peter's Field, it doesn't exist anymore. It's now paved over and has been rebranded as St. Peter's Square. Remember that other title Ranboo was considering for the ARG? Lost Field Incident #1? Considering that St. Peter's Field, where the whole Peterloo Massacre occurred, is now gone, I suppose you could call that a Lost Field Incident. But even more interesting, when the people of the UK wanted recognition of what happened on this site, the first plaque that the government issued read as follows, quote, "An assembly of around 60,000 people. Their subsequent dispersal by the military is remembered as Peterloo. They called charging at protesters and killing 15 of them a dispersal." Are you seeing the connections now?
I don't know if that's dispersal.
People's memories of events that have happened. The plaque is exactly that. And the fact that the government changed the laws to stop people like Richard Potter from gathering the masses to their cause seems to match the ideas that we've been seeing so far throughout this entire video. This then starts to explain the first major image that we see. A man with his mouth being covered by a hand with the Generation Loss symbol on it. Someone being silenced by whatever Generation Loss is. Who this person is clearly important, as we're specifically given the initials from his pocket handkerchief. Looks to be TZ or JZ. Not Jay-Z international rap superstar, though that would be an unexpected twist. No,
that would be weird. That would add to this
newspaper history. I think it might be referencing journalist Tony Zapponi, TZ. Tony has been a contributor to The Guardian in the past, but was mostly known as a photographer. In fact, his pictures of former President John F. Kennedy taken 4 days before the JFK assassination were important pieces of evidence in that investigation. Considering that that's an event that also has its fair share of crazy theories, I wouldn't be surprised if TZ and that event were all wrapped up into this ARG. Admittedly, it's a huge stab and a half in the dark. The initials are really the only thing that I had to go off of, but honestly, it's the best I could come up with that also fit within the existing themes that I'm getting from this mystery. Regardless of who he is, though, the fact that the Generation Loss symbol is the one covering TZ's mouth is telling us that Generation Loss are the ones trying to control the narrative, and not in a good way. But importantly, the tape is telling us don't conform, like a rebel group trying to communicate with its members. Learn the history would imply that the history that people of this world know isn't the real history, but a history that's been altered. We even see this at the very end of the tape. As I mentioned before, we have the phrase "find the founder," which is temporarily replaced with a new phrase, "kill the founder." The word "kill" appearing in a different red font. Someone has sabotaged the tape, and the color red connects it back to the red logo of Generation Loss. In short, this seems like it's a battle between two groups. Generation Loss, an organization or entity that's trying to silence free thinkers and control the narrative of history, and another group that stands for remembering the truth. One group seeking the truth, and another one trying to silence it or bury it with misinformation. However,
well, you see, that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, if it is that, did they put the "kill" over the other word because Generation Loss maybe wants to kill like someone that is like a big leader in the truth?
That still leaves us with one final image. This one. Of course, I did a reverse image search only to find that this picture is of the one and only Mitt Romney, a Republican U.S. senator who ran for president twice.
Okay, that's weird. That's not UK.
And again in 2012. This picture is actually from his high school yearbook. Super random, right? We have 5 photos that are supposed to represent this mystery. 4 of them are much older and have to do with psychology, uprisings around reform, education. What on earth does any of this have to do with the modern politician Mitt Romney? I was
Yeah.
particularly sure until I looked at the Generation Loss Twitter account, that is. On the 14th of May, it posted an image on a static screen with the number 2 on it. The caption says, "To the inauguration," and that's when it hit me. This high school photo of Mitt Romney was used widely during his run for president back in 2012. The story that broke around this was that it was a rather nasty piece of work back during his high school years, bullying a fellow student relentlessly. This, along with a number of other things, became a huge smear to his presidential campaign. But on this VHS tape, the image is once again obscured by red bars, trying to stop people recognizing the face and learning where the photo came from and why. It seems to me to be another attempt to control the narrative, to distort the history, allowing Generation Loss to continue with their plans. Romney was running as the Republican candidate against Barack Obama in 2012, and we've been talking a lot about the silencing of liberal figures throughout this ARG thus far. The fact that part 2 is called The Inauguration makes me wonder if this is an alternate reality situation, one where Romney's past actions are buried by Generation Loss, and he is actually the one elected president in this reality. What would be the larger goal in doing this? Honestly, not sure. Might need more than 28 seconds of video to
Yeah, I feel like
out,
28 seconds isn't
one
enough.
last piece of information that I wanted to mention. Whatever's happening with Generation Loss in the VHS tape, it's not the present day. Before Ranboo even released the first video, on his Discord, he released an audio teaser. It's a recording of a phone call where someone has found a box of old VHS tapes.
The box looks pretty new, actually. So it looks like it was like just put in here like 5 years ago, I'd give it. Well, yeah, of course I'm going to play them. I just have to figure out how to use a cassette tape.
Once again, making me feel old as heck. Oh, you poor Zoomers and your streaming
Oh,
services.
yes,
Ever
the
having to
people
know
that
the
don't know how to
phrase,
use
"Please be
cassettes,
kind,
they suck."
rewind." But this teaser actually reminds me of an image that appears over on Twitter. A VHS tape on the desk. Someone is investigating Generation Loss, trying to figure out what's going on, just like we are now. The story is actually following their journey. We're essentially being put in their shoes while we watch and break down these videos. On that desk, we also have the date November 4th, 1990, along with a comic strip from Malcolm Hancock's The Lumpets. Clearly, these are going to be important for the investigation, but I couldn't find any relevant information about the date or the comic. Maybe we'll find out more in future episodes. So there you have it, friends. A story of a rebel group trying to rise up to take on the Generation Loss conspiracy, rising from the same ideals
can
of
see
Richard
that.
Potter and the Little Circle, determined to teach people the truth, to open their eyes to what the government is really doing. The rise to power of this controlling organization, their alteration of history and manipulation of society, and all of it tied up in an investigation from the modern day where maybe Generation Loss is still in control. All of that from a 28-second video. A really solid start to what I expect to be a really exciting ARG.
I do
Your
expect
move,
this to be
Ranboo.
exciting.
Part 2 is teased as coming soon. Regardless of whether I'm right or wrong, I seriously cannot wait to see what you do next. But remember, it's all just a theory.
A game theory.
Thanks for watching.
Oh my god. The amount of research that went into the Wilbur Soot one, that was 3 years. I mean, like, their video was recent, this one was recent, but Wilbur's ARG, when they finally caught up to, was 3 years, and they were really kind of on that. But now Ranboo's ARG, this one has me thinking. I mean, Ranboo did do a reaction to this, so I might have to go look at his after this and see if he gave any like particular facial expressions during it, just to see if maybe they were onto something. Anyway, though, I'm gonna get right to my actual video thoughts. I will say it is absolutely incredible what MatPat and the crew over at Game Theory, and probably all the other channels were probably also helping with this. It's nutty what they can do with just 28 seconds of footage. They will analyze every single bit of that until they get every single like juicy bit out of it. They're just like, all right, we got all the info we needed. And also reverse searching those images. I mean, reverse searching isn't hard, but when you can't find the thing you search for right away, that's when it gets a little bit of a pain. I mean, you can just typically slap an image right into Google and reverse image search it that way, but maybe they did it a slightly different way that I don't know of. I also will say I'm a little bit confused on how a US election thing fit into everything else, considering it seemed like the other 4 images were all connected back to the UK and somehow, and then Mitt Romney somehow squeezed his way. I really don't know how that one fits in there, but I guess really the only way to know is to wait for part 2 of the ARG to come out, and maybe we'll get more info on it. Though that is where I'll leave the video today. So if you guys did like today's video, go down and leave it a like and a comment down below. Also, while you're down in the comments, tell me what do you think about this ARG, and also if you have any videos you want me to see, then let me know down there. Leave a link or something, and hopefully I can get to it relatively soon. Anyway, though, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.